Hello, my wonderful friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelly, and today I am doing a kind of later than mid-month wrap-up. I am just doing a recent reads video because I get to the end of the month and I run out of time to make as long a video as is really necessary to do a full month wrap-up. I am in a very busy season of life and I'm trying to make as many videos as possible, but sometimes these really longer videos are hard for me. So I'm going to wrap up what I've read so far in November and what I forgot to put in my wrap up last month. So we're going to start with what I forgot to put in my wrap up last month. And that is the first book in the Amish Candy Store series by Amanda Flower, and that is Salted Caramel. I really enjoyed this. I am a lover of cozy mysteries. I a lot of times don't like really formulaic writing and really, predictable romance, but there's something about cozy mysteries, the mystery element being involved in it, that's so comforting and wonderful to me, and I love it. I really like this one, and I will probably continue on with the series. Then we have two books that are sort of different from me because I have talked probably before about disliking most reality TV shows. Well, there was a period of time before my kids were born where there were two reality type TV shows I was actually watching. One was, actually there were three. It's funny. There was the Tori Spelling's family, her and her husband had an inn, and it was like following their adventures. And then there was one, and so all three of these people have written books. There's one show called Sister Wives, and this is not, I want to be clear, not Latter-day Saints. This is fundamentalist version of certain fundamentalist Mormons that do polygamy. And I thought the concept of more than one wife was so just beyond what I know that my husband and I got into that show a little bit. So we read Christine Brown Woolley's book, Sister Wife, and it was just a little glimpse into how this was not serving the women. It was very interesting, and she did it in as upbeat manner as you can talk about a subject like that. And then the other reality show that we occasionally would see, not, wasn't like you can never miss it, but like if I was going to sit down and watch something that was reality show, I did actually sit down and watch television before I had children. It was 19 Kids and Counting. I thought they were so wholesome. I did not, agree with a lot of the things that they did for me personally, like I wear pants. I am okay seeing, listening to music. Clearly, I was a dancer. They were not okay with any of that, but I did find that it seemed like they really loved each other. And fortunately, I had stopped watching. I had kids before a lot of the controversies came out and had not had time anymore, so I left that show on a high note. But the cousin, Amy Duggar King, she was known as Crazy Cousin Amy, wrote a book called Holy Disruptor. And she was, known as like the outsider because she was the niece. She wore pants. She dated. What was interesting and I think insightful about the book is she did talk a little bit about, the things that went wrong and ways that maybe her uncle had made mistakes. And of course, her cousin Josh, who was convicted of terrible, terrible things against children. But she talked about her own abuse in her home by her father. And that was something that I think it was really interesting to show how cycles of abuse start. So that was the most interesting part of the book, really, to me, not necessarily the 19 Kids and Counting stuff. All right, so let's go into more recent reads, the middle grade and young adult books that I read with my kids. So first, we read Who Was Sacagawea because we were covering westward expansion of the United States, and that was by Judith Bloom Fradin and Dennis Brendel. Fradin. And then that was just a very fact-driven account of Sacagawea's life. Nothing too good, nothing bad at all. It was just some facts. And then we read The Peculiar Incident at Shady Street, and this is by Lindsay Currie, and this is a low-level haunted house type situation. Not too creepy, not too scary, but a little bit of creep if your kid likes a little bit of that. We have a little girl whose dad has brought the family to the Chicago area to play with their Philharmonic, and the weird things happen in the house. My kids are old enough for me to explain to them that ghosts are not real. Use caution if your kids are younger. This is like upper elementary, lower middle school type book. I would definitely say that the best part of the book was the friendships and how you see kids working together, and you see kids struggling with different things as far as friendships and friend groups and moving away and fitting in. I thought was really great. Then my son and I read The Blue Tower by J.B. Simmons. Now this is a more independently published book, although I think it's done very well on Amazon. And so it's going to be hard to find at the library and stuff. Of course, it ends on a cliffhanger, and we were gifted the book. So we don't have any more books in the series. So I'm going to have to see what I can do to get my hands on this for my oldest son. This is, I would consider, YA. And it is about, there's a young man, teenager seemingly, who wakes up in the water. And he is brought into this tower. And he doesn't remember anything about his life before. And they take him and they help him come to remember in interesting ways. You have teams and you're trying to scour your memories and kind of cleanse yourself. But there are also battles against other towers and you can be kidnapped. It's very interesting and very age appropriate for teenagers. We really enjoyed it. I think that the author may have meant to put some allegorical symbolism in it. If not, it's still very good and interesting, and maybe I'm just reading that into it. All right, now, The Chestnut Man by Soren Svelstran. I think I'm saying that right. This is a Danish book translated into English. Now, for most of you who are viewers of my channel, I probably would not recommend this to you. There are 2 quick graphic sexual scenes that I did page flip. If you do not page flip, or you are and you are not comfortable with sexual scenes, I would not recommend it. If you are, they're quick, and I mean, it probably wouldn't bother you if you're comfortable with that type of thing. I am not. And most of my book club, this is Around the World book club, are not comfortable with that. But it is a good mystery. We have a young policewoman who is working in a crime unit, and there was a murder of a little girl, but you have not found the body, but someone has confessed to it. And her mother is a member of like their parliament. And you have chessmen starting to show up with another murder with the fingerprint of the little girl on it. So is the little girl alive? Is she dead? Then other people start dying. Is this a serial killer? It's a very interesting story. Then I read The Firefly Diaries by C.C. Warren. This is a Christian mystery book. We have a young woman who has had immense loss, a terrible loss, and she has moved to a small town that she's never been in before, bought this big old house that's a disaster, but it has a history. There's a family member wanting to get into it. She finds a diary written by a girl that calls herself Firefly. Anyway, it is really interesting, very well done. There is a little bit of a love interest situation. The characters are well developed. I think it's a great book to read in the fall. And I am not going to say much other than the title and that I read it, but I read my friend Courtney C.P. Cabinets is what she publishes under her book that will be coming out in the spring. meet me in the drive-in, and I enjoyed it. And since she has not released a lot of details about that yet, that's all I'm going to say. There's one more, and I didn't have the author's name written down, so I need to go get that real quick. Okay, so this is the first book in the Diva Mysteries series by Krista Davis, and this is called The Diva Runs Out of Time. It is the first book in the series, so it is about Thanksgiving is happening, and there's a woman who is recently divorced, and her father and mother and sister, who's getting ready to get married, have come to stay with her. And then her ex-husband is actually cohabitating with her, like, frenemy, nemesis, diva person that also has domestic abilities and has like an advice column and everything, but she's like a little bit more perfect than our protagonist and always looks good, and she has like a television spot, but they're both like domestic diva type people. And so there's a murder that happens when our protagonist goes to the grocery store, and she seems to somehow be connected to that murder but doesn't know how. And then she's doing a stuffing competition with the other lady, Natasha, that's, you know, living in with her ex-husband. That is her nemesis. And there's a murder. And so our protagonist is implicated in the murder. And it just is a whole, like, whodunit thing. It started out where I was really annoyed because the stereotypes that we come to love and expect didn't seem to be done very well. The overbearing mother was just ridiculously overbearing and annoying. The cop situation at first, he was a little bit too like, you're a good girl, but I think that you were involved in this. It was a little bit too much. But then by about 60%, I was really enjoying it and invested in the story. So I recommend it. Just understand it might be a bumpy start. All right, friends, thanks for coming along on the ride with me. I hope you read a lot. Bye-bye.